Good morning, Seth. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, we have sent about 3 boxes of chocolate her way to just have her just relax, a little bit of coffee, some bonbons, and we'll see if it works. But I don't know. I I think so because we're really taking the brunt of this in the last couple of weeks. Jesus, it's been crazy. I mean, I worked 29 hours of overtime this last week and a half. So it was just, with 2 days of severe weather and then 4 days of damage surveys, it was crazy. Sure do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when the big wigs of terms of storm research and chasing are in town, you really want to pause and say, okay, this is the real deal. They have they're spending their resources in your area. Then look out. Yeah, we had two EF2 tornadoes, which with the wind speeds up about 115 miles an hour. One of them wasn't too far, just southeast of Decatur. That was our Hammond tornado, and then Neoga had one as well, a little further south. But then there were looks like six EF1 tornadoes, which is wind speeds in the range of 90 to 105 miles an hour. So in terms of like derecho and major lasting impacts, no, it really didn't have that punch this time. Although we did have a moderate risk out for that day for the potential of very intense wind damage and storm tornadoes. So we kind of dodged the bullet there that way because the impacts were not nearly as long as like the June 29th derecho. Springfield had people out without power for a week, so not that kind of impact, but the people that did have the tornadoes go through their area, certainly they were feeling that because it did, damage and destroy some outbuildings, trees on homes and power lines down, stuff like that. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Between Effingham and Decatur, there were six tornadoes that developed in that area, and two of them were EF2. So, it wasn't that far away. You shift that just a little north and send them through DeWitt County, and you would have been dealing with a lot more, potential impacts there. So it's just a little shift in the weather. You never know where those storm tracks are going to be, and this time DeWitt County really was kind of spared for the most part there. Sure. Yeah, we had mostly wind damage, although we had a lot of what looked like tornadoes. We had tornado reports all over the place, but they ended up after video analysis being gustnadoes, but still 60 to 70 mile an hour winds, swirling dust and knocked over some things. But primarily it was a wind damage event on power poles. Primarily, it wasn't nearly as impactful as we thought it was going to be. We had an enhanced risk for severe weather, and that was mainly because of the potential for EF2 or greater tornadoes. The Storm Prediction Center was focusing, and DeWitt County was smack dab in the middle of that enhanced risk. So we were just like, oh, you start getting tornado reports, you're like, oh, it's happening. Let's go. We got to get ahead of these. And then when the videos start coming in, and you're like, oh, it's just a little swirl at the ground because the cloud bases were about 4,000 feet that day, which is way higher than you would expect for a tornado day. So it just didn't have those cloud bases close enough to the ground to really allow a tornado to develop, into a strong tornado. So there was just a little bit of an environmental lapse there, and so we didn't get the impacts we could have there. Right, right. Yeah, we had tornado warning or severe thunderstorm warnings ahead of the whole line as it went through because we knew wind damage was a high probability as well. So we had some semi trucks overturned on 74. I forget what the impacts nearby, but yeah, outbuildings, even in near DeWitt County, there were outbuildings destroyed, roofs off of those. Wind gusts. I guess there was one wind gust nearby, 62 miles an hour, just east of DeWitt County. So, and that's enough to rip trees over and cause some significant damage. So I'm sure a lot of people ended up cleaning up. There's thunderstorm damage 3 northeast of Kenny. Um, you know, Large branches blown on the Highway 54. So yeah, it was definitely damage across the area there. Yeah. Yeah, we actually had a wind advisory, but we were approaching, 55 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts at times, which is just on the edge of high wind warning. Anytime we have a wind gust of up to 60 miles an hour, that's a warning because you're going to start to see, power outages at that level where branches and even whole trees sometimes, if they're weak or dead, can actually fall over and hit power lines and homes. So it was a really intense wind event with that one because we had storms eventually expected to come in and it caused severe weather, but the winds before the storms even got there, we were getting damage reports from the regular southerly winds that day with producing a lot of damage, some power outages. It was a crazy day. It really was. Yeah, the situation is where the warm air just to our south and the cool and actually really cold Canadian air is not too far to the north. So we're in an area when the wind develops because of the temperature differences, because the wind is trying to balance out. It's warm over there, it's cold over here. I want to make sure, things get balanced because high pressure and low pressure develop where the temperatures are different. So we are just in the battle zone, literally day after day, between this very cold Canadian air and very warm southerly air, the Gulf states. And the jet stream intensifies when that situation sets up. And it starts to, in the wintertime, the jet stream is closer to the ground. In the summer, the jet stream is a lot higher. But, if we start to see those temperature differences amplify and the jet stream is a little bit closer to the ground, sometimes you'll get low level jets, so to speak, that also intensify. And we are unfortunately in a frequent pattern where that temperature balance difference between Canada and the Gulf is it's amplified over Illinois. I'm not seeing a real uh, persistent transition out of that right now. I mean, geez, even if I scroll through the next 7 days, we get a little bit of cool air, but then bam, we're right in that zone again. And warm front comes in, a cold front blasts through. The rest of March is definitely going to be under that pattern, probably even into the first part of May, or excuse me, April. So I'm not seeing a whole lot of relief, at least in the next 7 to 10 days, out of this pattern. It's just going to really every third day or so we're going to be seeing cold front storms, rain, and we were above. I mean, we were expected to be above normal precip each outlook now all the way into the early summer period. So I guess that's our a dose of rain is going to come in that kind of a pattern. Yeah. Yeah, so far through the 25th numbers, we're 4 degrees above normal, which is a lot, climatologically speaking. We've had quite a few 70s, even some low 80s, which was near record temperatures there back on the 14th ahead of that one storm system. Then on the 18th, 19th, when we headed into that storm system, we got to the 76-degree mark. So plenty of really warm air gives us 4 degrees above normal. Precip wise, we're right at normal, literally 0.06 above normal. So it hasn't been overly wet overall, but we've got more coming. So by the end of the month, we'll probably end up above normal because we average about 1/10 of an inch of rain a day. So if we get more than 4/10 of an inch, which we're highly likely to do because our outlooks for the next 7 days are giving us about 1.5 inches, as much as 2.5 inches of rain across almost all of central Illinois. So that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the rain chances are going to probably give us quite a bit of rain here in the next few days. Well, it's just slightly above normal. Yeah, 0.06 inches above normal. So 2.19 inches for the month, and that's right around where we should be. But that's going to change. Yeah, it just looks like any storm that comes over the area is going to be dropping a lot of rain. It looks like any in the next 4 days here. We do track it. We have we've had a lot of days, peak winds in the 40s and 50s, so we're well above normal. We don't have explicit normal, but I can just see that March is a windy month, but we're above normal with winds. I mean, you don't have that many days of 40 to 50 mile an hour peak wind gusts. I've lived in Central Illinois since '05, and I know it can get windy, but this was definitely an above normal wind speed month. If I could get some exact numbers, I'd have to dig a little bit, but you know, yes, no question, no question. Yep. Weather.gov/Lincoln. You bet. Yeah, it looks like a severe weather threat is going to be accompanying some of those storms. Later on tonight, we're already going to see a few showers and storms bubble up, but throughout the day Thursday, there's going to be a chance of any storm producing, 1 inch hail, maybe a burst of wind up to 60 miles an hour, especially in the evening. But throughout the day, even early in the morning, we're going to see showers moving in. So just got to be aware that some of the storms on Thursday might start getting a little strong, even as early as the morning, but especially afternoon, evening. And that's going to continue overnight. Thursday night, there's a wave. So there's like more the strongest storms, yeah, look like Thursday night. But during the day, even some hailers might develop, maybe not in 1 inch, but certainly if you're driving along and you start feeling that, hitting your windshield, that might happen. So just be aware Thursday and Thursday night, especially that's our heaviest rain, I think, until the Sunday wave. So while we have chances of storms in there each day, it looks like most of Friday, most of Saturday are probably dry, just a hit or miss. Maybe Saturday morning, a wave moves through just south of DeWitt. But the real strong storms of the entire weekend are going to be Sunday night. And like DeWitt is right on the northern edge of this outlook for severe weather as well on Sunday. So that's at the slight risk level 2 of 5 right now. So we'll see how far north that goes. But I think DeWitt might be even spared some of the heavy rain that happens with those and strong winds. But you're right on the northern edge, and that's a few days away. So we're going to fine tune that outlook. But that Thursday night and Sunday night are the big waves of like, oh yeah, it's raining hard and winds are moving. So yeah, yeah. Friday during the day, I think yeah, the balance is Friday and Saturday, and they're going to be warm. Friday, what are we hitting? 77. Saturday, 72. Overnight low is 57 for an overnight low on Friday night into Saturday. So, and then even Saturday into Sunday, 54. I have a camp out with my sons in the scouting, and overnight lows like that aren't too bad, but we could use ease up on the rain. But it looks like actually the balance of the weekend might be better than this forecast may sound at this point. Yep. All right. Yeah, the outlooks are showing above normal temperatures all the way through early April. This one goes through the 4th. The next one goes through the 8th. Above normal and solidly above normal, like in the 60th percentile. So, we'd normally see temperatures in early April in the low 60s. We probably will creep into the 70s more often than not. It looks like in the first week of April, and even the 3 to 4 week outlook above normal temperatures. And on the precip side, all of those outlooks are above normal precip. So, that the amount of moisture that's available in the atmosphere looks like it's going to continue to provide us with pretty steady dose of rain. We are in the drought conditions, even in DeWitt, level D. I think it's D1 or D0. So it's wet, it's dry across the area in terms of the soils, at least just enough to tip us to the drought side of things. Hopefully, we can you know put a dent in that, and I think we will with the next 3 to 4 weeks of above normal precip outlooks here. Yes, yeah, yeah. The whole month is under the above normal temperatures as well as above normal precip, and that extends. I don't know if you want to get into it now, but into the spring, outlook, April, May, June, above normal temps, above normal precip. Although it's not as strong of a signal as we're getting the next 3 to 4 weeks, but so it'll probably ebb and flow in May, and then not as solidly above normal. I know we've had some days in April even close to freezing in the past. Not seeing that signal yet, but you never know. When things start budding out, and all of a sudden one of those nights dips to 28, can cause some damage. So you're not out of the woods as far as frost goes, but the tendency looks like you're probably not going to see too many of those days. Yeah, mine too. Sure, sure. Yeah. Temps start out high 59, low 36. So comfortable there. But by the end of the month, 70 and 46. So the lows are getting below freezing is really going to be very minimal by the end of the month. And highs normally around 70. That's pretty comfortable. That's nice. You know, it's a spring day as you might think of what a spring day would be. So yeah, normal. Exactly. Yeah, normal for the month is about 4.25 inches of rain. So it's a wet month. You know, and if we're above normal, you know, you're going to see some standing water at times if we do get that amount of rain at the end of March, and then April is also above normal. You know, you're talking probably in the order of 5 to 6 inches of rain in the next 5 weeks or so, which is a lot, you know, in terms of rainfall. But when we're dealing with a starting in a drought, you know, that might not be too bad. It should soak in. Hopefully, it's not coming in, you know, in buckets. Because if it comes in an hour or two with an inch or two of rain, a lot of that ends up just sliding off because the surface becomes saturated, and then that additional rain just starts running off and you can't soak it in. So you want it to be a slower arrival, give it time to get in the soil. Yeah, we gained this month, we gained 90 minutes, and then next month it looks like we gain about 70 minutes. So 60 to 70, depending on where you are in northern latitude. So we're going to gain another hour or so in April. The fastest month is this month. This month is the month where we gain the most time. But next month, still, we're going to pack on another hour or so of sunlight, which is great. Weather.gov/Lincoln.